Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Love Origins, where we hear people's real life stories of romantic, platonic, familial, and self love. I'm your host, Candace Spencer, and today's episode features our very special guest, author Liwen Ho. And we are going to hear all about her love story, how she includes love in her work. And I'm really excited to talk to her as a fan of her work and the stories that she creates. So, Liwen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
Awesome. Please introduce yourself and share whatever you think is most important to know about you.
Sure. Well, I'm an author. I have been one. This is my 12th year of publishing,
Nice.
which is kind of surprising. I didn't plan to be an author. It was something that God opened the doors for me kind of randomly. It's a long story short, but I always like to read. So I wanted to write a book sometime in my lifetime. I made a goal for myself to do it before I turned 40. So I did it when I turned 38. So praise
Nice.
God for that. Yeah. So I live in California with my husband, who's an IT guy, and we have two kids, 19 and 17,
Okay.
a son and daughter, and I refer to them as our munchkins, but they're not so small anymore. Yeah. And then we also have a dog, Madeline. She's a
Nice.
Pomeranian, and we adopted her during the pandemic.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so we'll definitely get into how you got into writing, but let's start first with younger Lewin. What were you interested in? What were you passionate about? Like, what was your vibe at that point in time?
I was very quiet. Basically, just very behind the scenes, and I love to read. During the summers, I could read like 3 books a day. And I
Nice.
was an only child for about 10 years until my sister was born. So, a lot of time to myself. And I loved reading romance. I actually read mystery also. But as I got older, for some reason, I just couldn't stomach the more intense, suspenseful themes. So I stuck to romance. And I really got into psychology. So that's what
Okay.
I majored in college. And um, and I decided I want to be a therapist. And totally switched careers after I had my son. So I stayed home with him, and then I didn't think writing would ever, come into my life, but it did. And yeah, and I also still kind of managed to include psychology, or just about people. I'm just really interested in people's personality types, birth order, things like that. So I kind of include that into my writing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to think back to books of yours I've read where I'm like, "Ooh, how did that come into play? Did I pick up on it? Did I miss it?" Okay, cool. Awesome. I was going to ask you what drew you to psychology, and you said birth order, people's personalities. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
just kind of understanding how people, why they are the way they are,
Hmm.
you know, their family of origins, things like that. So I did actually go to grad school and got my master's in marriage family therapy.
Nice.
And I did an internship for like 2 years. So I was pretty well into, on my way to go in that direction. And then totally the door closed on that. So, but, thank God that he actually still brought that back into my life. Even now, I do lay counseling at our church.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just really cool how God redeems all the things that we thought were kind of broken or just, lost. So,
Yeah. How long were you a therapist for?
it was only like 2 years. Yeah. I wasn't licensed yet. I was still just doing internships.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've mentioned your faith a few times. How does that play a role in your life? What was your faith journey?
Yeah. So I kind of grew up in church, even though my parents, they brought me to church when I was about 7. It was really off and on. And then I started going on my own more consistently in junior high, high school. Became a Christian when I was 12. But it wasn't until maybe college that I learned so much more, um, about the Holy Spirit. And um, actually, I probably didn't truly understand the gospel until I was even in my 40s. So, and I have to attribute that to just the church that we've been going to, just really gospel centered and learning more about it's not anything I can do to earn God's favor, but it's all grace.
Yeah.
So that's something I also try to incorporate into my stories.
Yes. And one of my favorite stories of yours, the Unexpected Date series, second book, Lily and Hunter. I know that's a big theme in that book. I remember that. That's really cool. Awesome. Okay. Um, so let's talk about your own romantic love story. Because you talked about kind of who you were, kind of talking about where you are now. You met your husband at some point along the way in your life. So how did you all meet?
Yeah, we met at church. But actually, we met or crossed paths maybe even like 8 years before that. So what happened was that we had been going to sister churches,
Okay.
and then there was a summer retreat. This is when we were teenagers, and then I distinctly remember we were taking a group picture at the end of the last day at the retreat, and then there was a guy who was setting up the camera for us, and I was like thinking he's really cute, and then he ran back and he set the timer. He ran back to take the picture, and it wasn't until after we were married that our friend showed us the picture. There were probably 100 people in the picture, and then we were standing like 5 feet apart.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was just, well, I remember him very distinctly, but he doesn't remember me. Yeah. But so we met as adults. I was 23 or 22, just straight out of college. Never dated before. I, had been kind of just feeling, I've always been a romantic and I've always wanted to be in a relationship, but God just never opened the doors. And I was, after looking back, I'm really thankful that he didn't. Even though in college I lived with three other roommates and they all had boyfriends, and it was like I was always the seventh person out. So it was just really a challenge. But ironically enough, I was the first one to get married
Oh, wow.
out of that group of friends. So I met David at church, and at that time, I did not know. I kind of knew him. He was just very friendly, just very smiley, and but then people started kind of warning me that he was a player.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
know. Yeah, so that was a surprise, but I was so innocent and naive. I didn't really think much, and I think there's always, I don't know, a certain part maybe I like the bad boy type, and he drove a
Don't we
sports
all?
car, and yeah. So, yeah, and then we just started hanging out more as a group with the young adults, and then we would always be sitting next to each other. So after a while, it's like people would be wondering, what's going on? And I was actually the one to kind of bring it up with him, which is kind of surprising because I'm usually not like a confrontational type of person. Yeah, but I thought it was pretty clear. I liked him, he liked me, so and thankfully it worked out.
So you said something to him? You were
I
like,
said,
hey, let's.
yeah. And it's like, what are we doing, kind of thing. Yeah,
Okay. And
yeah,
he said, we should date. He was like, I'm for, like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But he
okay.
was actually disappointed because he likes kind of the thrill of the chase.
Ah.
Um, so he wanted to kind of have that period be longer. But I was like, well, kind of like, what's the point? So
Yeah, let's get to the point. Let's do this. Was he actually a player, or were people just misunderstanding kind of his vibe?
no, he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I had never dated. He had dated a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's a whole other story where, yeah, God just really, yeah, in a lot of ways, there's the opposites, personality wise as well. He's an extrovert. He loves attention. He loves, public speaking. Um, so not just in those ways we had to kind of work things out, but also me just knowing, I guess, his colorful background,
Hmm.
and really understanding God's grace even more through that, and just about forgiveness and love covering over a multitude of sins. So yeah, just being with him has taught me so much.
That's awesome. So how did you know he was the one for you? You all start dating, you're in a relationship. What made you go, this guy is for me for
Yeah.
life?
I think I was pretty sure from the get-go. I don't know if it's just, I don't know, maybe it was inexperience. Um, but well, part of it was actually, we actually took a break maybe a month into a relationship after he told me about his past. So it was just a surprise to me, you know. I didn't know anyone who had gone through stuff like that, and me being pretty innocent, naive, I was very judgmental. My expectations were just kind of broken, and you know, so I basically it took about a month. I through a lot of prayer and I was just asking God, you know, is he the one? If he is, help me to accept, you know, things. And there were four very clear signs. I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember half of them now because it's been so long. But I remember there was a sermon, and then there was another one about, it was a random article I read about, that's kind of like a self-help column where the woman was writing in to ask about, you know, similar situation. Her boyfriend had a colorful past, and how was she supposed to accept that? Um, and also just my parents really accepting him as well because they kind of found out about his past too from a friend who's just well-intentioned friend. She was worried for me. Um, yeah, so just through those situations, God just really, you know, put it on my heart that it's not what I expected, but it's like the best thing for me. Yeah. And I don't know how I think he's mentioned that he was kind of drawn to me,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I personally don't think I'm his type, but
Why
yeah,
is
and
that?
even um I guess I'm just more quiet, you know, but maybe that's how we work out
Mm-hmm.
better, but yeah.
Opposites
And my
attract.
mom,
It's a
yeah.
good
Yeah, yeah.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom even said he's more good looking than I am,
Oh
which is
wow.
true. That's a Chinese mom calling talking.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
okay. So you all, how long was your dating relationship?
Not that long. Well, okay, so we were dating a year and a half and then he proposed and then
Okay.
9 months later we got married.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I
And
guess
how
it's
long you been
maybe
married?
normal. 25 years
Nice.
last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. Congratulations. Happy belated anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
kind of crazy.
That's so cool. So in 25 years, I'm sure you've seen a lot, been through a lot. What's a challenge y'all faced, and what lesson did you learn from that?
Um, yeah, it's been a while. I think a big part has just been parenting. Just learning how to work together because we're so different. And I remember I came into this marriage just really stubborn. I still am stubborn, and he'll attest to that. But I'm the oldest of two. He's the youngest of four. So just we're so different, and I had to learn to really value his opinion and accept that maybe he is, you know, right sometimes. And I remember distinctly after our son was born, there's this extra saucer where you put the babies inside and they can sit there, and there's like toys around that
Mm-hmm.
you can take off and add on. So David bought a new toy. It was like this little fish. Um, Anyways, I was like, there's no way our son's going to like that. I don't know why I was so sure, but he loved it. He wouldn't stop playing with it. So I was like, okay, that was the beginning where I was really just humbling, you know, to know that, well, I'm not always right about things. So that's happened, you know, quite often in our marriage. Just learning to see the strengths in each other, and also learning to overlook the things that I think should be done a certain way that aren't.
That's fair. As someone who's also the oldest of two and very
Mm,
stubborn, I can relate to
mm,
that. Yeah, it's important to learn.
yeah.
Um, did you? psychoanalyze y'all when you got together? Because you're oldest of two, he's youngest of four, birth order. Like, did you have any, like, how does this play out kind of thoughts?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I actually didn't really think about it much until later on. And it's funny because when we were dating, we actually went to that's kind of like a dating marriage conference.
Mhm.
And I thought, before going into that, I thought we were so similar, which is so funny to think about now. But we came out of that, you know, I realized we're polar opposites actually. Um, so on the personality chart, he's a debater.
Okay.
So he loves negotiating, he loves getting his point across, and I'm a defender. I love protecting and, keeping the peace. So now that I think about it, it's kind of very clear why we got together, why we work so well together. Just because, especially the birth order, I get things done, and he's just more like easygoing, and but we balance each other out. So it's almost like we are like two halves of a whole, especially when it comes to parenting. Yeah, and I appreciate it even more because we have one of each. I like to say we cloned ourselves. So our son is more like me. He's the oldest, and our daughter is more like him. Um, so even seeing their personalities come out and like how they're so similar to us has helps me to appreciate David more, and vice versa.
That's really sweet. Awesome. On that same vein, what are a couple moments from your love story? A couple of favorite moments from your love story.
I thought about this question and I wasn't sure. I don't know. I mean, we're actually more homebodies. Well, okay, maybe I am. And he's just um, yeah, kind of understands that. But we've been fortunate to travel to Hawaii a couple of times for our honeymoon and after we brought the kids. And just, being able to snorkel together, see the fish, just enjoy nature. We really like to do that together. I don't know, kind of boring.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's an episode I have from a couple seasons ago with friends of mine, and one of the things she said was that with her husband, the mundane becomes remarkable. The things that seem
Mm,
small and ordinary become even more so because they're together. And so I thought that was a really beautiful
mm.
sentiment.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant to ask: are you all from the same place, or are you from like different places and you met in church?
Um, yeah, so he's actually originally from Hong Kong. He
Okay.
came when he was 14. I am from Taiwan, but I came so early, I was 4. And then we both moved to the Bay Area. And then we're living about an hour apart. But and then he changed churches to the sister church to join mine. Um, yeah, so we're in the
Hmm.
same, well, kind of in the same city by then.
Okay. Cool deal. Okay. That's really great. Um, So let's talk about from there. You have this beautiful love story, 25 years, opposites attracting. You've gotten this beautiful family. What kind of love stories did you grow up with, and which ones had the biggest impression on you?
Um, so I just remember it wasn't only about, romantic love, but
Mhm.
I remember Anne of Green Gables, just the friendship,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, between Anne and Diana, and just how they were opposites too.
Hmm.
So, and I actually have a close girlfriend who is similar to Anne, and I'm like Diana. So, yeah, so I really enjoyed that series, and also, well, I guess Sweet Valley High.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
hear
did
enough
you read?
about that. That series is so
Yeah,
good. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I remember just reading, I don't know if I read the whole series, but probably most of it.
Hmm.
And it was just fun and, kind of dramatic at times, the
Hmm.
teenage angst and stuff. Yeah. Um, and then just in terms of family, my grandfather on my mom's side, who actually is not her birth father, but my mom's parents passed away when she was pretty young, and he was a classmate of my grandmother. And he actually took my mom in, um, adopted her when she was a late teens, and he already had 5 kids of his own. He
Oh.
was just so big-hearted. Yeah, and he wasn't even a Christian back then, but it was just God's grace. He later became one before he passed. But yeah, and he always treated us, me and my sister as, like blood relatives. And yeah, it was just really, um, that made a big impact on my life. Just knowing, and because of him, I have all these extended relatives, aunts, uncles, and cousins, and yeah, it's just very precious to have that kind of example, especially as a Chinese elder. They're not known for being warm, fuzzy. So for him to be so gracious and loving was really, really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, those are really great. Any examples you had would have been really great, but it's cool to see the fictional and real life examples that you've had. So then, how does that impact how you incorporate love into your stories, like across the categories of romantic, platonic, familial, and self love?
Yeah, so I love writing about siblings, even, me and my sister are 10 years apart, so we didn't really have that close relationship until we were older. So now, she's a mom, she's a wife and a mom, so we kind of relate more. But I really enjoy writing about siblings, and about friends, close friends groups. And also, I do like to sneak in the elder character once in a while, whether it be a mom or usually the moms are more fun to write about, or a dad figure. Yeah, so I do
Yeah,
enjoy incorporating families into my books.
yeah. And why do you find it important to include love into your work? Like, why is that central to what you write?
Yeah, I think just because it's so precious and so, something good in the world, in a world that's really broken, sinful, and just could be very depressing. But yeah, kind of like love is just, the silver lining, something that we get to taste of God's goodness here on earth. So just really, yeah, I can't imagine not writing about love. I mean, I appreciate people who can write like fantasy or sci-fi because that's like a whole another thing to like do the world building and stuff. That's
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of effort. But I think love is just, the whole relationships between people. Um, it can be quite complex, but also just really beautiful when, people understand each other and take the time to, um, I guess, work things out so that they can get along.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm actually going to back up because I forgot to come back to how you started writing. So you mentioned it was a very unexpected shift. So would you mind telling us
Yeah.
about that?
Um, so I've always enjoyed writing, even in, school. I liked writing papers. Um, and then I had written a kids book back in high school. It was for an assignment, and I even drew the pictures and stuff. But long story short, David found a writing contest for kids books, and they were asking for entries, and they would publish the books if you won. So I didn't win, but they still published my book anyways.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So it was quite surprising. So after that, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. But that was when my kids were still small. Just finding time to write was really hard. But um, yeah, actually, I don't remember how many years it took to get the first book written, but um, it took a while, and then I did publish it before I turned 40, like I said. And then, yeah, after that, I was like, I think I wanted to keep doing this. And then I made that book into a series. And then the rest is history. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. It's really cool to get it published even though you didn't win. Like that your book must have been really
Yeah.
good. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, quite surprising. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, oh, okay. I had a question that left my brain that came right back. And you are an independent author. Have you been traditionally published? Both. What's been your journey there?
Yeah, totally independent, which I enjoy because being, the oldest, I'm like to have control. So I
I can
do like it
relate.
that I
Yeah.
can, yeah, yeah. I do like it. I have control over the timing, over the cover. If I want to change a cover, I can do that anytime. Um, yeah, I did get approached by a publishing house a couple years ago, um, and it was kind of looking hopeful. I even started a story for them, but it was, to be honest, it was just the process is so long, and I had to make a lot of changes that they asked for, and it just wasn't what I wanted to do. Even though it would be awesome to get a deal with a real publisher. But after a while, it just fizzled out. I didn't pursue it, so I'm back to doing things on my own.
Cool deal. Okay. So with that, let's talk about your pop culture tie-in, which are your books. Kind of tell us the general theme of your books if you have one, or what you want us to know about your books, and then we can talk about some specific ones if that's okay.
Yeah. So I started out writing Christian romance, and I did kind of also write some just clean romance, no faith involved. But I'm going back to my roots and just focusing more on Christian romance. I do write mostly their stories set in the Bay Area, just because it's right what you know. So it's easy for me because I really don't have a good imagination, to be honest. So if I have to write anything, even an outfit, I have to Google, pictures. Because I've actually like Hope in Surprise Vacation Day. I have
Hmm.
partial aphantasia, so I can't
Oh, okay.
visualize things. Yeah, so it's um, yeah. So a lot of times I just write, things I've either experienced or maybe people that I know have experienced. And I do have one young adult series, which it was like a fun passion project um, that I wrote. I actually wrote it for my kids, but neither one of them like romance, so I know, so sad.
So
Uh,
unappreciative. It's a great series too. They should read it. I like it a lot. It's so funny.
yeah,
Oh
yeah. So
man.
and then now I'm just writing rom-coms because rom-coms are fun. They're actually hard to write too because it's
Hmm.
hard to be funny all the time.
That's fair.
But yeah. But when I can get into the right mindset, yeah, the words come pretty easily, and that's what I really enjoy.
Nice. Are you actually I think I did some research and I know the answer to this, but are you a pantser or a plotter for your stories?
I am a pantser,
Okay.
um, all the way. I have tried plotting and it just doesn't work. Halfway through, I'm like, yeah, it's not even me, it's the characters, which is kind of funny to say, but my stories are really character driven. So
Hmm.
before I even write, think of a trope, it's more about the characters, what their personalities are like, what they do for a living, like what their pain points would be, what, conflicts. And then I kind of figure out the trope I want to put into the story and kind of make it work that way. But it never comes out the way I planned, which I
Hmm.
didn't really plan, but it never comes out the way I expect at all. So yeah.
Nice. I respect the pantser because I would forget what I said and lose. It wouldn't make any sense if I was trying to write it and didn't plan it because I would forget and things would go left. And you're like, that person's already dead, and you're like, oh, you're right. Well, oh well.
Yeah, no, that's why I have a good editor. Yeah, because she'll be like, I thought their eye color was this in this chapter, and then I changed it, and yeah. So,
Nice. Do you have a favorite of your books, or is that like picking a favorite kid?
I do have a favorite. It's actually, I don't know why it's not that hard for me to pick one, even though I shouldn't have favorites maybe. But it's called Tropical Kiss and Tell,
Okay.
and it's basically um, about two friends or neighbors who grew up together, and they're very, opposite personalities. And then it's also kind of like a split time romance, so I write it in two timelines. So each chapter it's starts with when they're younger, and then it goes into modern present day. So you can really see like um, how they grew up, how they grew up together and then apart, and then how they come back together again. And I don't know, I just really enjoy seeing them grow up. Maybe it's also because the two characters I wrote about them as kids in two other books, in their parents'
Hmm.
books. So they're kind of like my babies, I guess. So I match made them and brought them together.
Nice. Love it. Okay. So I mentioned to you this is the part where I can also gush about your books. It's one of my favorite parts because I love your work. So,
Oh,
um,
thank you.
you're welcome. So the Eden Vale Academy, right? That's the YA series.
Hmm.
I had sworn
Yeah.
off YA because
Mm.
I was like, I enjoy it, but the teeny bopper angst, I have now too much adult experience to be like, y'all just angsty for no reason. So I had sworn it off.
Yes.
But I happened to start reading the first book, not realizing it was YA, and I was like, well,
Mm.
I kind of like it. I'll keep on going. Let's see what happens. Read pretty much the whole series, only missing one book. And I read every other book, and I'm like, this is really good. I
Oh.
really like it. And I think that's my introduction to you. Either that one or Aiden Sparks' book may have been my actual
Mm.
first book of yours.
Hmm.
But that was the
Hmm.
first series I read of yours, and I was like, this is actually really good. Not actually, just like
Oh.
I don't like YA, and this made me like
Yeah, yeah,
reconsider
yeah.
why I actually did like YA. And then I read
Oh.
the Fab 40 series. And I was like, this is actually
Yeah.
really funny. Like you talking about why like rom coms, I was like, this is funny. I think everything about this is
Oh.
hilarious. Especially the first book being just a really interesting like remarriage story. I hadn't read one of those
Yeah.
before, and I'm like, that is
Yeah.
awkward. Like this the setup sounds awkward, so watching it play out was really, really fun. I also appreciate the diversity included in your characters. Like almost every story has an Asian character or is Asian character centered. I haven't read a lot of those books, and so I appreciate having that perspective and getting that.
Hmm.
Um, just seeing that those kind of stories play out. There's a favorite one, though, my favorite one of yours so far, because you have a very prolific catalog. When I did my research for this episode, I was like, wait a second. She's written so many books. Oh my gosh. Um, Also, you have a flowchart on your website of like how to choose your
Mm.
books, and it's really funny
Yeah.
to me. I went through and some of the options were
Oh,
hilarious. Of
yeah.
like, if you don't read this, what do you like to read? Like, what are you even doing?
Yes.
But my favorite book of yours so far is Lillian Hunter's story in the Unexpected Date series.
Mm.
And I don't know
Yeah.
if it's just because of how it spoke to me, like Lily's struggle with grace and not having to
Mm.
be a certain way was felt really personal for me. So I don't know if it was that made it really impactful, or if it was just the story overall. The characters are great. It's funny. The story is really well done. I don't know, but something about that book really sticks out to me. And of all the books I've read of yours, I
Mm.
have read a lot, just not as many as all the ones you've written. That is my favorite one.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. I mean, I saw your Instagram post, you gave me my own appreciation week. I was like, that made my whole week. Yeah, that was so sweet. And then, yeah, I think maybe the thing with Lillian Hunter, I wrote her, she's very much me, just, the firstborn, just feeling a lot of responsibility
Mm-hmm.
on her shoulders and just wanting to get everything right and not wanting
Yeah.
to take a break. Or maybe not feeling like she can take a break
Yeah.
because, I actually do want to take a break.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just poured every like eldest daughter, vibe into that story.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just so happy to have Hunter, who was the opposite, to really come alongside her and just be like, it's okay. You're good just the way you are,
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to try so hard. And yeah. So yeah, I really like that story too.
Yeah. That was really good. Um, oh, there was one more thing I was going to say, and I'm forgetting. Oh, the world building. I mentioned this before too. I didn't realize that all of your stories are related to each other. So when I
Yeah.
read, oh my gosh, Nolan and Mimi's
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
and
Yes.
realized
Yeah.
she was Peter and Piper's daughter, I lost it. I was like, wait a second, what? Because I'd read their story already, so I knew who she was, but I didn't
Yeah.
know that that was who that was. Amazing. It was epic. I was like, oh my gosh, you're all related. Oh my gosh, it's the same universe. Oh wow. Like
Yeah.
the connections were like, I was that meme with that woman trying to do hard math. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. That's also really cool that
Yeah.
it's all connected like that.
Yeah. And it totally was not planned, if you can believe it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so the thing is, they tell you to kind of connect your story so then, readers will continue reading. And I was like, I didn't want to, well, I knew I wasn't going to write another young A romance series just because I tried it, it wasn't actually that well received. But, and then I did want to do rom-com again. So I was like, how do I tie these things together? And it's going to be so hard because, like you said, it was a marriage that didn't work out, and then they had to come back together. But to make that funny, it's like I set myself up for failure. But it turned out okay, and I'm glad I was able to link those two stories together because I do love the characters so much. It's hard to say goodbye, after their story's done. And I kind of like to be able to bring people back. So if you'll read different books of mine, you'll see like characters pop up, and it's just kind of like a, Easter egg to see where they're at now. So it's something fun. So it's cool that you picked up on that.
Yeah, it was really cool because I was like, wait a second. Because I'd already read the Unexpected Date series. And Nolan and Mimi's book is, I think, the last one of that YA series. So you
Hmm.
see them the whole
Yeah.
time. So I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, cool, cool.
Mm.
Can't wait for their story. Their bestie's going to be real cute. Looking forward to it. And you get to it, and I was like, wait a second. Nene? Hold
Yeah.
on a second. I was like, wait. And then when it comes, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, snap. That's crazy. And it was just a really cool payoff to have read the book already, to have seen their
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
story, like to seeing them pop throughout and then have it be that at the end. That was really cool.
Mm.
Awesome. You've had some recent releases over Christmas, I believe. I've not gotten a chance to read. Can you tell us about those?
I'm trying to remember what they were. Oh, I know. They were Christmas stories. One was in the Christmas and Redemption Ridge. It's a
Mm-hmm.
multi-author series. That one actually wrapped up. So that was a um, later in life romance, which is I kind of I've written two of those just because a lot of my readers are retired. They're like grandmothers, and they're just really awesome, faithful readers. And they've always saying that they like reading romance, and they wish the characters were older so they could relate to them better. So I so that's why I wrote that story. And then there's another one. It's the hockey rom-com, and that's another multi-author series. The Meet Cute Matchup series, and that was a really short story, which I prefer because I'm not very wordy. So if I can make it as short as possible, that's I like that. And then that's rom com, and that was kind of getting me ready to jump back into writing the rom com I'm writing now, which is the third book in the Unexpected Date series.
I'm
So
looking forward to
yeah,
that. I'm very excited for that.
oh, I know. I'm hoping to finish it very soon.
Yeah. You mentioned your stories are short, and I want to say too, I appreciated that. I think I mentioned I had started reading your books. I gotten sick, and I was like, okay, I'm sick.
Mm,
But I still want to do something. And I was like, I want to read something, and so I don't want to do anything that's gonna like my attention span's not gonna be there. I also don't want to
mm,
read anything I'm gonna be annoyed by because I'm already sick. And I was like, I like
mm-hmm,
Liwen Ho's
mm-hmm.
books. They're solid. They are shorter, and I enjoy every one I've written. So let me go ahead. And then I end up reading a lot of things in that during that time period. But I was like, it's consistently good writing, and that's not always the case, unfortunately. But if I know I pick up a book of
Mm.
yours, I'm gonna like it. It's consistently good, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. That's like the best, motivation I can get to keep writing. Yeah, because it's hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. I am not a
Yeah,
writer, so
yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah.
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 But when you did mention that you appreciate the low, how they were low angst, and I was like,
Yes. Yes.
that's actually a good way to describe my books because I am so
Yeah.
anti-conflict. When I first started writing, I had critique partners, and they were like, "Why is everything wrapping up so nicely at the end of each chapter? Because you need something to keep the reader going, right? If there's no conflict, why are they even reading the story?" So then I had to learn, okay, I have to include some conflict, but not too much. And even now, I don't like to do like, the dark moment where they break up and stuff
Mm-hmm.
before they get back together because sometimes I just liked for them to face difficulties together
Mm-hmm.
and instead of being apart. I think that's more meaningful to their relationship, to their growth as a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm low angst all the way.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's not to say your books lack depth at all, because for sure there's like with Peter and Piper, their stories got some hard moments. Like every story has something where you're like, "Ooh, okay, that's unfortunate for them. I hate that for them." But it wraps up really well. No one's like cheating on people. No one's like,
Mm,
it's not anything where I'm
yeah.
like, "Dang, now I'm annoyed." Now my emotions are here, and I really just want to be kind of like, happy in the story for them. So yeah, you do
Hmm.
a really good
Hmm.
job including some hard things that are still not
Mm,
overly burdensome to read about.
mm, yeah.
Yeah.
because real life is already hard enough. So.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's why I
Yeah.
say, because I also love Hallmark, and people
Mm.
can make fun of Hallmark. I do not care. But I say, like, life is already hard. Like, we have to deal with a lot happening out. So, the real life is going to be a
Yeah.
lot. Life be life in. And so, it's nice to
Yeah.
have something that is not hard. It's not difficult, to
Mm-hmm.
wrap up
Mm-hmm.
nicely, because there's no guarantee of that in life, that things
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
always going to go smoothly, because they won't. But I know a Hallmark
Yeah.
movie will wrap up beautifully in 90 minutes. And I love that. you know?
Yeah.
There's a
And
lot
you
of
kind of
romance
know
as
what to
well.
expect already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's nice just to have a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, okay. I want to keep talking, but we can wrap this up because I'm like, oh my gosh,
Okay.
this is great. Um,
Oh.
so our last question is, why do you keep choosing love, either in your life, in your work, or ideally in both? Yeah.
Um, well, kind of like we were talking about before, life is hard. Love is just so hopeful, that you can kind of see the best in people, even though people are not perfect, we're simple, but just seeing God's grace and, how relationships can work out, how people can get along, even though they're very different. I think it's just gives you so much hope. So that's why I can only write romance. I like the happy ever after. I like, tying things up in a nice package and a bow. And to also be able to have control over something in my life, I guess, because, there's so much or so little that we have control over. Um, so to be able to write something that's kind of just leaves you feeling good, leaves the reader, um, just happy to have read something instead of like, broken up over it or angry over it. I just really want to give that hope to readers. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Tell us where we can find you, Liwen. If we want to read your books, if we want to know more about you, where should we look?
Yeah. So I'm on Amazon, and also at my own website, liwenho.com. You can also find me on Instagram, which is where I met you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also on TikTok,
Oh, hey,
trying to keep
okay.
up there.
I didn't know that. Cool. I have to
Yeah.
follow you. Okay.
Yeah. Also on YouTube, I have
Oh,
audiobooks there. Yeah.
okay. Good to know. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was not as scary as I thought.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Love Origins is produced by Candace Spencer with music by Anthony Spencer of Noisy Dreads LLC.